Welcome to Better Funding. We're on a mission to transform how funding reaches grassroots organizations. Why and how, you might be asking? Well, we would like to share more about that with you today through this conversation. I am Maya Ardón.
And I'm Emily Bild, and we co-lead Better Funding. As Mai said, we'd like to share more about this initiative today. So let's start with what led us to creating Better Funding.
So Emily, you and I share a similar professional trajectory, although in different contexts. We both started our careers working with grassroots organizations in donor-facing roles. We experienced firsthand what are the limitations of these models that are ruled by power dynamics, that have donor-led agendas, that prioritize processes versus relationships, and how this limits sustainability, limits innovation. And really, that's the opposite. That's the contrary of what philanthropy is looking for. But I think something that we share is also that we've always had this desire to go beyond just the critique and the identification of the problem and propose new ideas. And I think this is what led to our paths crossing at Go Philanthropic Foundation. Just after having experienced what a more trust-based relationship felt as grantees of this foundation, and then us going to work with this foundation in roles that really allowed us to propose changes and observing that impact of those changes and co-creating these processes with our grantee partners. As this chapter ended, of course, and all the conversations that we were able to have with funders about systems change, and more importantly, with the grassroots leaders that we had been partnering with for so long, and listening how, yes, it was important, and they were worried about losing important funding for their programs. But more importantly, they were worried about losing the relationship, the type of relationship that they had with us as funders, and how the different practices that we had been applying to this relationship really supported their sustainability and their well-being. I guess that also led us to realizing how we can contribute. And we realized that we could contribute both through our experience and through our global network of people that are also interested in contributing to this systems change. So I guess, Emily, that leads us to our next questions, which is, why do we want to spread better funding practices with the sector?
Yeah, thanks, Mai. I think we know that better funding practices are very needed. We know that particularly at the moment, it's very difficult for grassroots organisations to raise the funds they need, not just for their projects and programs, but also for their kind of whole organisational health and the sustainability of their teams. I think this really kind of links with why we've called ourselves Better Funding as well. We really want to kind of strip away the jargon that's in the sector and keep it very simple and keep it very positive. And we've used the term better because we don't claim to have all the answers. We definitely don't know everything. This is all about a learning journey. So better funding is all about us learning together. It's working on improving our practices wherever we're starting from. And it's about creating a space that's really positive, that's non-judgmental, that's inclusive, where we can all learn from each other and learn how to do things a bit better. Also, in terms of kind of spreading the practices and why we want to do that, we know that there's some great examples out there. There's some really innovative funders doing exciting things. And so we really want to create a space where we pull together some of those examples and make them kind of more accessible and share them globally. So Mai, I think if you could explain why now, that would be really helpful. Like why we feel this is the right time for this initiative.
I think that there is a combination of factors. On one side, we have a disruptive factor, right, which is the rapid changes that we're seeing in the philanthropy landscape and the recent policy shifts and the disruptions in international aid and all these challenges the challenges that this is representing for organizations worldwide. And on the other hand, we have the possibilities, and we're seeing that philanthropy is already evolving, that we're seeing more movements that are proposing innovative ways of working, different models that are already naming and challenging power imbalances and critiquing traditional philanthropy. So I feel like the combination of these factors makes this a perfect timing to make a contribution to the sector through better funding. And I guess that leads us to the next question, Emily, about how will better funding complement other philanthropy initiatives and other movements?
I think that we've been following this issue and working on these issues for quite a while now, and we're really excited to see that there's a really strong movement calling for trust-based philanthropy and calling for better funding globally. And we know there's many great organizations and movements championing like why this is needed. And we certainly want to complement that. We really want to collaborate with other initiatives and with other organizations, and we want to see kind of where and how we can add value. There's a lot of movements out there calling for like why trust-based philanthropy is needed. I think where there is still often a gap is in terms of the how. So when we were working for a funding organization and other funders we've met, have said similar things. There's still not enough kind of real life examples and experiences and case studies on how to do this. Like, how do you build those trust-based relationships with partners? What does accountability look like in terms of trust-based relationships? And so we would really like to capture some of those real life case studies and experiences, both from creative, innovative funders who are doing great work, but also from inspiring community-based organizations. We can really show how and demonstrate how this can work in practice. So we're looking forward to collaborating with the other similar initiatives and exploring kind of where we can add value with them. So speaking of looking forward, Mai, I wondered if you could share in your words what success would look like to you.
For me, success looks like more genuine allyships between funders and community-based organizations, more consensus, definitely, and the adoption of trust-based and equitable practices. I really want to see these practices being co-created with the communities. More collaboration, more learning for sure, more sharing, more building together, more connection, opportunities to have conversation, to grow ideas, and we're already experiencing that. And we have already been approached by very interesting initiatives and people from different parts of the world, even areas where we had yet to form connections, that are starting important conversations, that are proposing ideas. And I guess that leads me as well, Emily, if you can share a bit of like, what can we expect then from better funding?
So I think we've covered some of it already, but basically what we want to do is create a space where funders can share examples of what works in terms of building more trust-based relationships with grantee partners, but also where grassroots organisations can share their examples of funding practices that truly support their organisations to grow and to thrive. So we want to be very focused around kind of sharing and learning. We're going to be documenting what works, those real world experiences. We're going to be sharing kind of some insights, hopefully sharing some kind of practical tools that other organizations might be able to kind of adapt and implement. There's going to be a strong focus on collaboration. Like, we strongly believe that change doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in relationships, it happens in partnerships. So we're looking forward to working with funders who are looking to strengthen their trust-based practices. And we're looking forward to like really co-creating funding models that truly kind of reflect the community reality. And finally, I'd say that we want to build this community of practice. So this is not going to be just about us in any way. We want better funding to be a community. We want it to be a global learning space where funders, grassroots leaders, development practitioners, and anyone else who's interested in these issues can come together and they can connect, they can find a community, and we can reflect and learn together. That's what we're excited to start developing.
I love that, Emily, and I agree. Really, collaboration is at the core of this project, and we want to continue learning. We want to learn about what others are doing as well, finding more opportunities to share and collaborate. So please get in touch with us, share your ideas. Let's build better funding together.